everyone. Today, we, the students of St. Mary's POKHARA, are here to raise awareness on the topic violence against women. We live in a world where 1 out of 3 women has suffered some kind of gender-based violence in her lifetime. From 25th November to 10th December, UN celebrates 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. We continue to help to raise awareness against different forms of violence through a musical drama.
Age-old question for all of us. Are we inferior to men somehow? Are we? No, right? But the statistics states something different. It states how 1 in every 3 women in our country faces violence by men either physically, mentally or sexually. at home, at work, or elsewhere. Now tell me, are we inferior to men somehow? No, right? But then why is it that every time we hear a news regarding gender-based violence, it's always the women who are the victims? All those stories in the social media stretching from 13-year-old Nirmala Panta to 12-year-old Samjana Biki to the most recent one of Sabita Adhikari. The names that I mentioned are just the stories that came out. What about the ones that didn't? The stories that were covered up just to protect the pride of one's family. The stories that were covered up to protect someone's honor, to protect someone's prestige, to protect someone's reputation. The girls are told to shush, considering the fact that they themselves will get a bad name. The men, they can get away easily, but the women, even after being the victims, remains guilty somehow. Again, are we inferior to men? No, right? But then, what about the time when your parents told you to come home early because you are a girl? But it's all okay when it comes to your brother. What about the time when your relatives, as soon as you reach a certain age, try to find a potential husband for you? What about the time when you were told to learn how to do the household work as it would become your main profession anyway? What about the time when you were told to dress appropriately as people would look down on you? What about now? Are we inferior to men somehow? No, right? But then why are we being objectified all the time? Why do you think those beauty products are $1 billion industry? Because we are told not to be happy in our own skin. Why is it that we imagine men as a pilot, but a woman as an air hostess, making sure she looks attractive? Why is it that we imagine man as a manager, but a woman as a receptionist perfectly dressed? Why is it that we imagine male as a doctor, but female as a nurse? And how many times is it that you imagine an astronaut as a female? And in our country, Nepal, where there are still cultures how a woman can't have her meal unless her husband has his meal. The culture where a woman leaves her home and goes to her husband's house. The culture where a woman does fasting for her husband, wishing he could have a long and healthy life. But a woman, she does, but a man, he never. And by the grace of the God, at least Sati Pratha was abolished. I just mentioned a god and not a goddess. I sure was raised up in a patriarchal society. Again, let me ask you, are we inferior to men somehow? Guess now we are doubting our previous answers. But this time, I'm not going to ask you. I am going to tell you. We are not inferior to men in any ways. Just because a patriarchal society says us so, just because of centuries of dominance of male over female, just because we have suffered does not mean that we need to suffer more. It's time we rise. It's time we raise question, raise awareness, come down on the street and unite. We shall not wait until it falls upon us. It's time we shall not be asking for a right. We shall snatch it. It's time we stop gender-based violence. It's time we stop violence against women. Thank you.
Not because you have a sister, not because you have a mother, not because you have a daughter, but because she is a person. Stop violence against women.
Break the silence when you witness violence.
Don't sit back, but act when you see violence against women.
Come up with a resolution. Violence is never a solution. Stop violence against women.
Drop, baby, I'ma let you know. Ain't always gotta be fast. Maybe we can take it slow. Don't always gotta rush. Gotta build that trust. With two birds just singing that song, singing that la di di do di da. Melodies go.